I'd like to welcome you all here. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Sandra and the Apex Centre for inviting me today. I'd just like to know, those of you that have just started your business, if your business has been going for just under 1 year, a show of hands. Okay, over 1 year? Okay, thank you. And more than 3 years, show of hands? Okay, great. Well, thank you. So, as I said, my name's Mavis Amankwah, and I'm from a company called Rich Visions. Today I'm going to be talking about ways of how you can grow your business. I'm not giving you 44 ways today because we'll be here all day, but what I'm going to be doing is giving you some information that you can take away with you in terms of growing your business. So the first thing I'd like to say is, don't be afraid to think BHAG, as anything is impossible. I'm 37 years old, born here in the UK. I was born in the East End of London, in an area that was very deprived. I faced a lot of adversity in my life as a child just because I was the colour of my skin and me being African. But being here 37 years later, I've seen that adversity has given me the success. It's helped me to grow my business. It's helped me to look at my ideas, to reflect on my life as a child of what I went through and basically implement that in my everyday life. My background is actually IT. I studied IT. I was an IT technician for many years. And in 2002, I realised that IT really wasn't for me. I didn't like fixing computers anymore. I didn't like keeping up with technology. I had 2 children who were quite young at the time, and I just found that it wasn't really challenging. So I took the step of faith and I said, I'm going to start my own business. And here I am today, 10 years later, or nearly 10 years later, doing what I do best. Helping people, advising businesses, reaching out to communities that are classed as hard to reach. So, you know, my statement here is do not be afraid to think big, as anything is impossible. Because, you know, once you have the belief and you know what you want to do and where you want to go, you can go forward with your BHAG ideas. So my new strategy for 2012, because I think, you know, in 2012 there's going to be lots of challenges. We know what's happening with the economy. We can see it. It's happening on our doorsteps. It's happening around the world. But I think in 2012 we need to think more BHAG. And BHAG is more of thinking big. Whatever your ideas are in business, thinking big. Thinking outside the box, thinking of ways how you can make your business more challenging, more global, how you can diversify, how you can really, you know, look at your income streams and really double them and triple them. So it's about thinking big, hairy, audacious, and looking at each goal. So, you know, as we go into the new year, it's looking at where you are now and where you want to get to. In 12 months' time, where do you want your business to be, or where do you want your brand or your service to be? So it's looking at the BHAG ideas. So I've told you a little bit about me. So what do? Rich Visions is a communication agency based in Stratford, and we specialise in helping organisations, mostly mainstream organisations, to reach out to diverse audiences. So women, people of colour, ethnic communities, disabled people, lesbian, gay communities, and we're working on really massive campaigns. So the biggest campaign we're working at the moment is the digital TV switchover. I believe you've probably seen adverts for the digital switchover. 4th of April, all the TVs are going from analogue to digital. We are getting that message out to those that are classed as hard to reach. So that's what we've been doing at Rich Visions since 2002. Also, Rich Visions, we also have a small business sector where we help small businesses like myself, like yourself, of looking at ways of how you can market and promote yourself effectively. Because what I've seen over the years, lots of businesses start their business and sometimes they come up against an obstacle or a challenge where they're not able to grow their business because they're not very good at marketing or PR. So we basically help businesses to grow within marketing and PR. And for myself, as I've been doing business for nearly 10 years now, I work with individuals on a one-to-one basis in coaching and advisory on business sustainability. There's lots of information and support for start-up businesses, but there isn't lots of support for established businesses like myself and some of you that are here today. I also have a platform of other businesses that I work on, and I won't really go into them today. If anyone wants to get more information, I'm happy to leave the slides here today. But I have about 3 or 4 other businesses that I'm running as well, which are going quite well. 2009 was a year where I wasn't sure where my business was going to be today, but where I was able to diversify, look at different streams of income, look at opening some new businesses that will be specific and niche, that's helped me to sustain myself today. So, where are we now? I've just finished writing a book which is called 44 Ways to Grow Your Business, a step-by-step guide to increase profits. The reason why I wrote that book was basically for me to share my experiences in business. Yes, it's good and it's nice, you've got some money in the bank, but I've had some really serious challenges in my business just because of, so many obstacles that I wasn't, as you know, with business, you don't actually go, you may go to university and do a degree and so forth, but you do not get the tools and the tactics. You kind of get on, you start your business, you get thrown in the deep end and you just get on with it. So my book is basically sharing information on some of the challenges that I face, some of the successes I face, and how one can increase their profits, looking solely at marketing PR. So it's really a book that is for sole traders, aspiring business owners, established and startups as well. And I've got some copies here today as well. So as I said, worked for over 10 years. I worked in the child support agency, I worked with the council, I worked within the government, and it just wasn't for me. So 2002, I started my own business, and the rest is history. My business idea was just looking at the gap in the market. I told you what I do earlier on, looking for a niche, and the niche was to help organisations, mainly mainstream organisations, to reach diverse audiences. I did test research for 2 years, and I think any of you, if you're established business and you're thinking of expanding your business, research is definitely the key. Oops. And then the 2 agencies have been going for the past 9 years. As I said earlier on, my BHAG success, what made me get this contract, which was worth quite a lot of money, was the success of me promoting myself wherever I could. This last month I celebrated 100 piece of work within the media. So I've had about 100 pieces in the media that talks about me, talks about my life, talks about my business, talks about so many different things, me giving tips and advice about marketing, about PR. And that really helped me to get this Digital UK campaign. I was featured in PR Week about 2 years ago, and from there I got about 150 grand worth of business within about 3 months just from that profile, which is a profile about me, about my business, about who I am and what I do, and I got lots of contacts from it. And that followed on, I won a campaign from Comic Relief, I won this Digital UK campaign, and really that has helped me to get where I am today. And these are some of the other companies that I've worked with as well. So in terms of businesses I've helped over the last 12 months, I've helped quite a lot of start-up businesses to raise over £200,000. And more recently, there's been a training grant. I don't know if anybody knows about the specific training grant that you can get to actually develop yourself as senior managers and owners. Well, that grant came out last year. It finished in March, and it's come back again. And I've helped businesses to actually raise funds to get a training grant and look at their own personal development of where they need training. So I'm happy to speak to people after this about if there's something that they're interested in. It's based on leadership and management, how you can develop as a manager, how you can promote yourself as well. So what I've got today, as I said, I'm not going to give you 44 because we'll be here all day. I'm going to give you 10 ways how you could rapidly grow your business in 2010. So in terms of marketing, really one needs to be able to raise awareness about their product, about their brand, about creating a need. How do you create a need for your product? How do you always ensure that you are getting in enough income to make your business grow, to sustain your business and keep yourself growing, and how you can increase profits and sales? And I'm going to be telling you about that. So number one is creating a promotional and PR plan. Every time you want to plan any type of activity, big or small, Facebook, Twitter, or a massive advertising campaign, one thing one needs to do is, what are your needs and desires? You know, why am I doing this campaign? Am I doing this campaign because I want to raise the profile of the company? Am I doing it because I want to get 500,000 in a bank? Am I doing it because I really, you know, want to take my company to a different level? I want to go global. I want to go national. You know, any PR or promotion that you do, always ask yourself needs, wants and desires. And that's what I do, you know, each day. Anytime I come up with an idea of growing my business, I look at my needs and wants as well. And it's just writing down your objectives as well and your expected outcomes. A lot of us actually say, right, we're going to do this. We don't really think about it. And then we start getting into it and then realise, oh, what were the objectives? What did we expect to get out of it? We don't know because we didn't have a plan from the outset. So it's about having a plan from the outset. And then defining your primary audiences. What I've seen with a lot of small businesses, sole traders, is that they cannot define their primary target audience. And when I'm talking about primary target audience, I'm talking about where each month you're expecting a certain amount of money into your company. Who are your ideal customers? I was speaking to somebody the other day and they said to me that my customers that I'm targeting are businesses in East London. And I said to them, that's fine, you can target businesses in East London, but how you would target somebody in Havering or Redbridge or Newham or Tower Hamlets is completely different. So one has to be able to define their target audience and understand everything about their audience, their customer or their client. So you need to know their backgrounds, you need to know, you know, where they live, what media they consume, marketing behaviours. Everything that you need to know about your customer should be defined in your primary audience, because what happens is that we start with this business and it expands and then it cannot grow anymore because we cannot actually define who our primary or secondary target audience is. Also, with our primary audiences, we are able to, most of you here are in business, I believe, so most of you here will know who your ideal customers are, who your customers are, how you can contact them. So I would say in the first instance, if you've already started your business, go back to the drawing board and ask the customers who you're already speaking to, this is what we want to do. We want to expand. We want to grow in 2012. Have you got any ideas? Have you got any suggestions, any recommendations that we can, you know, grow our business? So defining your primary target audience is really, really essential in terms of your business. And, you know, I always say your bread and butter customers. Those are the ones that you want to look at each day that are bringing in the income. And then your secondary audiences. Your wish list. You know, I wish that I could actually reach out to companies in America. I went to New York a few weeks ago and I met up with a company that does something similar to what I do. And I said to myself, I wish that I could get some global, you know, corporate organisations in America that would want to come to the UK, and I can help them to reach out to diverse audiences. That is my wish list, that's my dream, that's something that I want to work on. But I've put that down as my secondary audience because I see that as a long-term goal and not a short-term goal. So being able to define your secondary audience. As I said earlier on about the PR, how you get into the newspapers, how you get online, how you get onto the radio, your local TV station. It's looking at ways of how you can grow your business, you as an individual, because that's helped me to grow my business, or your company, whether it's your staff, whether it's your brand. It's looking at PR to spread the word, because as we know with PR, it's reaching out to a wider audience. If we could get into the Guardians and the PR weeks and, you know, industry specific publications, it will help our business to grow. And that's what I was saying earlier for myself in terms of getting into the PR week. I also got into the Guardian last year, and that was really good because I had a lot of feedback. I was able to get lots of contacts. I was able to, you know, look and see businesses that were interested in what I do and try and get a sale. And I won some business from that as well. So the PR to spread the word, which is going to help you to extend your reach, create a buzz around your product and gain industry recognition. And I think if you could be a niche in your market or a player in your market, then it's really going to help you to sustain yourself. It's going to help you to be ahead of your competitors as well. And then the different types of media outlets. I'm not sure where people are in terms of their, marketing, in terms of their PR, but, looking at the different outlets, there are so many platforms right now that one could hone into, but it's looking at what works for you, what works for your business. There's no point of trying to get into a Men of Motors magazine if you're trying to target OAP women over 65. So again, it's going back to that primary audience and looking at what your customer or your client, the best way of reaching them. It could be public speaking. For me, in terms of winning business, public speaking is good for me because when I get the right audience, I'm able to speak and engage with people. They want to get something from me, even if it's just advice or information, and hopefully that should turn into sales. And the same from my main company as well. So it's looking at which ones are going to fit in for you and looking at a plan. I always talk about the media because nowadays a lot of the media, especially the newspapers, are looking for content. If you could, provide some information about your specialism to a specific newspaper. Here are 10 steps to having the best hairstyle, because I heard there's a hairdresser in here. So, here you go. Okay, so 10 tips on the best hairstyles for Christmas. Now, everybody wants to look nice for Christmas. If you could get into your local paper, or you can get into a, hair and beauty magazine, then you're onto a big one, because what happens there, you've got your 10 tips, you've got your name, you've got the name of the salon. That's going to get you more business, and a call to action, of course. Every time you get into the newspaper, always try to have a call to action. What I mean by that is saying, I'm giving away a free book, I'm giving away a free service, I've got an event happening on this day at this time. Always have a call to action as well. So it's looking at the different types of media outlets as well. Creating a media contact list. Has anybody here had some publicity in the last 6 months? Apart from a PR lady I heard that's in here, she's probably had quite a lot. Oh, okay, you tell me who you are. Yes, okay, and how has it been for you? Did you get any?
Quite good. I did an editorial on North Recorder, and then I was lucky to, because I got through to the Haven Business Awards.
Well done.
So that, I also got free PR that way.
Okay. And would you say that's brought in more customers for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, hairdressing, you always say if it brings in two, and you get that client, to book their next visit, then you've done it.
Okay, excellent. I saw another hand, was that correct? Hi.
Our company did an event in Brentwood a couple of months ago at Brentwood County High School, and we got an expose about our specific company at the event in the Brentwood Gazette.
Okay, and was that
That's generated a business.
Oh, excellent.
Events on top of that event as well.
Okay, so in terms of the coverage that you've had, do you keep in contact with the media, the journalists and the reporters and so forth? Okay, fine. So creating a media list is something that one needs to have if you don't have one, and having that all the time. Ensuring that you are able to get your contact list within a very short, making sure that it's all in the right format and being able to call the right people at the right time. Because any time we win a new contract, we do an owl shout. Or if there's something, we've got something to shout about, we have a media list across press, TV, radio, online, and we send out, an email, marketing mail shot to our media and say, hey, this is what's happening, this is what we're up to. And then we'll give them a call and say, are you going to feature it for us? If not, what's the reason why? Is there someone else we can speak to? So we've just sent my book off to The Guardian last week, and we're basically going to be chasing up to see if they're going to do a feature on it as well. So having that contact media list to hand is really, really good as well. Building costs into your pricing strategy. I'm not sure where everybody is in terms of their business, but one thing that I've seen with businesses is that they do not put a cost down for their marketing and promotion, and sometimes that can be an obstacle. So I always say, whatever your pricing is going to be, whether you're selling pencils or you're selling massive computers, always building your costs into your pricing strategy. Always put on that extra 25% so that you can put that money away for your marketing and your PR as well. Oops, what number am I on? I think it's number 6. If conventional media doesn't work for you, there's other things that one could look at. Looking at, BHAG PR tactics, writing a book, making a film, a documentary that could be specific within your industry. So are you okay there, sir?
I was thinking about in-jumping or a bungee.
Bungee jumps are, that's just an example. But, looking at different ways of how you can really, gain that publicity, gain that promotion and expand your business. And also making sure you carry out the specific piece of research before that as well. Infrastructure, number 7, is one that one needs to think about. Sometimes we go for this big marketing exercise and it's great, and we're getting all the calls and we're getting all the queries, but the infrastructure is not right. We can't handle the calls, we can't handle the emails, we can't get back to people within 24 hours, we can't send out orders. So that's just something that one needs to think about at your planning stage, which I was talking about in number 1. Think about the infrastructure. Have you got, the right customer services all set up? Have you got the resources? I know a gentleman who had the opportunity to actually put, I think, £100,000 worth of products in Harrods for 2 months, and he basically couldn't do it because 1, he didn't have the products, and 2, he didn't have the finance. Did a lovely campaign, got loads of queries from buyers in Harrods, and wasn't able to deliver because he just didn't have the infrastructure. So that's one, something that people need to think about as well when they're doing any type of promotion. And the data collection, for those of you that are probably a service business, how you can collect data, keep in contact with your clients. For those within the retail or hair and beauty industry, keeping that information of all your clients and your customers if it's possible as well. Number 8 is about time is important too. Your time is not free. Most of us here, I believe, are running our own businesses or running our own ships, and sometimes it can be very challenging trying to run the family, trying to do all the things that you want to do the social life and stuff. So really, time is important. About 3 years ago, I became really sick and I didn't know what was wrong with me. I went to the doctor and the doctor said to me, "You've got shingles." I said, "Who? Shingles?" I said, "I thought that was something that you got when, that was, back in the 1920s." He said, "No, you are so stressed out, you have shingles and you cannot go to work." And I had to I didn't have a choice. I had to sit down for 2 months without doing anything. And at that time, business was really pressurous. I had so much going on in the business. I'd won a few contracts, I had a few clients, I had a few staff that were really moaning about things, and I couldn't handle it, and I became sick. And that was because I couldn't really, effectively use my time. I wasn't using my time effectively. I was working around the clock. I wasn't really sleeping. I was trying to just do too many things, even though I know I was a good multitasker, but my health got the best of me. So really, time is important, and it's not free as well. And again, it's the maths. How much is it costing you to do any type of campaign? Sometimes, as I said, we go in and we just say, yeah, we're going to do it, but we haven't actually put a cost into it. We're not sure how much it's going to cost us. And as you know, in anything, you go to the shop to buy a coat. For me, I'll go to the shop and buy a coat, and then I'll see a pair of shoes, and then I'll see a jacket, and it goes way past my budget. So I always say add some more on as well. So make sure that the maths work for you, because there's no point in doing any promotion or PR where it's going to make you lose a lot of money. That's number 8. Number 9 is about public speaking, depending on the industry that you're in or the service you provide. But as I said earlier, for me, it's been really great. Nominate yourself for an award. So I've won 3 awards in the last 3 years, or get someone to nominate you if you believe that, you're really good at what you do, or if there's someone who believes in you, they can put you forward for an award. It's quite good, as the lady said there. She had the opportunity to get involved with Havering Business Awards, and there you have lots of contacts, you meet the right people as well. So that was 10, but I'm going to give you a bonus too, just because I do have a little bit of time. Joint ventures. Apart from BHAG ideas, I believe in 2012, I'm predicting in 2012 that joint ventures is what's going to really help our businesses to strive. If we could, work together, if for instance I'm a hairdresser and I can work with someone who does nails, someone who does therapy, someone who does holistic therapy, someone who does things within the hair and beauty industry, and we can get together and do a joint venture and share those costs. That is, a real way forward for 2012, because nowadays we know things are quite expensive. You put events on, it doesn't always go according to plan. But if we could work with joint ventures, if we could do more joint up working together, joint ventures for 2012, I believe a lot of businesses are going to thrive. Obviously, you're not going to work with your competitor or somebody who's going to be treading on your toes. You want to work with somebody who complements what you do. So, joint ventures, if there is an opportunity, please, consider joint ventures as well, especially with in the next year. And as you can see, 2 joint ventures, you've got McDonald's and Disney. Well, I'm not sure where the picture's gone. And you've got H&M and Versace as well. And then number 12 is review. Everything that you do in terms of activity, as I said earlier on, whether it's just sending out a Facebook message, whether it's, you know, doing up your shop front to get people to come to your store, always review where you are. At the beginning of the month, this is where I am, this is where I like to be. At the end of the month, how did it go? What worked? What didn't? How much did I spend? Can I do better? Where can I improve? You know, because lots of businesses do not actually do the review, and they get to a certain point and feel, oops, it's all gone wrong. Spent so much money, so much time, and we've got nothing to show for it. So, you know, review is definitely one that one needs to, you know, do on a regular basis. Always take some time out within your business to look at where you are from a promotional perspective, operational perspective, HR. You know, there's so much things that happen within the business world, but it's about taking that time out and reviewing where you are at each stage. So, reality check. Everything that you do has to be smart. So the first word should be specific and not smart. The lady made a mistake. But anytime you do any type of activity, always think, is it smart? Is it specific? Is it measurable, achievable, realistic and time-bound? You always have to ask yourself that question, because sometimes we want some really big things or some really great things, but once we kind of put pen to paper and start reviewing and planning and looking, think, oh, it's not really realistic now. Let's go back to the drawing board. Let's see, because at the end of the day, we want to make sure that things work for us from the outset, then kind of, you know, running before we can walk, we get to the end and we trip over. So really it's about a reality check and seeing what resources, if you're working, you know, if you're a sole trader, you may need to get on some volunteers. If you've got, you know, offices, do you have the space or the capacity? So it's looking at all of those and making sure each thing that you do has a reality check as well. So just before I leave you, just a couple of things. So I've got my book here today if anyone's interested. It goes into more of the presentation that I've given today, 44 Ways to Grow Your Business. I can do a signed copy and they're here today at $9.99. So that's it. I don't know if anybody's got any questions.
I think the communication skills, is that part of your strategy, and how much emphasis do you place on communication with the customers?
When you say communications, in what specific area?
Let's say you've got a product and you want to convey it to the customers. How do you set your strategy to communicate with the customers?
Well, in the first instance, it's about the research. It's about knowing and understanding your customers, you know, knowing who your customers are, how you're going to reach them, what they like and what they do not like. What I've seen is a lot of businesses start out without knowing who their real customers are, and then along the way they realise that they cannot actually define who their primary customers are. So it's about the research. Are you already in business?
I've just won the New Business of the Year award.
Oh, wow.
My business has just taken that award, Medical Legal Professionals. I'm an orthopedic surgeon. This is my new business. So
yes.
Probably I'll ask this question to set my strategy up with people who want to visit this place.
Oh, okay, yes. Okay, well, we can have a private conversation. There's many ways that you can get people here, get the bums on seats, and also, you know, basically upsell what you have, whether it's, you know, hire of your conference room, but obviously there's got to be a strategy, there's got to be a research, and it's looking from the local perspective in terms of Havering, who you can capture there, and then looking at the wider audiences as well. But I'm happy to talk to you, but there are ways that you can definitely, you know, capture your audience.
Hi, I just wondered what you think the most effective way is to research your clients, like your potential market.
Okay, my first question, before I answer that question, my first question would be, would it be your existing clients or new clients?
New clients. Okay. If you were setting up a new business and you wanted to find out, you know, like you say, everything about the clients, how would you first initially go about, you know, finding out that information?
Look for a company that does something similar to what you want to do in the first instance. So you look for that company, find out what they do, find out who their customers are, find out as much information as you can about them. Once you're able to see someone that's offering a similar service, then you look at their customer base. There's something called mystery shopping. I don't know if you've heard of mystery shopping, where you could basically call up and find out information about, you know, maybe pricing, about, you know, their customers, who they're targeting. But with the research, it it needs to be in depth, and it does take time as well. But again, the internet is, by our bedside. I was going to say at our doorsteps, but now on the internet you can actually put your laptop in your bed on your lap, and just looking and seeing from the internet what's available as well. And then you've got other places like the British Library, you've got the City Business Library that have a lot of this information already. One thing that I know in business, there's always a business out there that has done what you want to do. Obviously you're going to make yourself unique and different from them, but there's always a business. I don't know if there's any business, unless someone has to challenge me, any business that somebody hasn't done before anywhere in the world. So there is research, and that's the way to kind of start. But again, I'm just speaking to you broadly. We can talk in more detail.
Yeah, okay, thank you.